So, to overcome the difficulties of certain concepts, laws and rules and institutions that are to be set up among the nations. So, International Monetary Fund. So, one of the important or the main international monetary institutions that we have, it is the IMF. So another function of IMF is that it will help in setting up of multilateral trade agreement between the nations and also any multilateral payment system. Hello dear student, welcome to the session. My name is Krupa MD, faculty in the Department of Commerce, Vidyashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. So we are discussing international business of 4th semester BCom. So our last unit, that is unit 5, that we have it as international monetary system. So till now we have seen the basic introductions of all the international business. So here, when a trade takes place between the two nations, so there comes a number of restrictions, number of rules and regulations and also the currencies. So how it is traded with other countries. So here many factors that will impact the trade when it happens between the two nations. So who regulates all these trade? So that means there has to be certain institutions who are involved in regulating and directing these international business. Especially in terms of the currencies or in terms of monetary aspect, there are certain institutions that involved in the international business who supports and who facilitates the trade among the nations. So that is what we are going to study in the 5th unit. So that is international monetary system. So here the topics that we have under this one, it is the international or the introduction to the international monetary system and how the origin of IMF, that is International Monetary Fund, so its origin and its functions and objectives, and also we'll discuss about what are the ethical dimensions in international business. So here, international monetary system. So the need for flow of funds among the nations arise because of two reasons. One, it is the trade between the nations and the funds may be transferred from one country to another. So both at the government and the private level for investment. So here, so when there is a flow of funds between the two nations, so that arises mainly because of two reasons. One, it is when a trade happens between the two nations, and also when there is a transfer of any funds from one nation to another nations. So that may arise out of from the government side, also from the private side, so that they will create a need for the flow of funds between the nation. So, the freedom to move funds across the nations are subject to many restrictions. So, that means when the funds are moving from one nation to another nation, so there comes a number of restrictions, number of factors that is involved. So, to overcome the difficulties of certain concepts, laws and rules and institutions that are to be set up among the nations, to overcome these rules and regulations and also to facilitate the proper flow of funds between the nations, so they need the number of institutions. So that means there has to be one institution which regulates all these flow of funds. So that create a need for having a proper international monetary system. So what is meaning and definitions of IMS, that is International Monetary System? It is a set of arrangement and the rules and the practices and institutions under which the payments are made and received for the international transactions across the national boundaries. So that means it is the set of certain rules and regulations and the practices under which and institutions under which the traders has to be doing their trading, so that all these payments that will be received for these international transactions. So the existence of efficient international monetary system is essential for continuous charge of international business. So the existence of that means there has to be one proper institution which regulates the flow of funds between the nations. So that means when an international trade happens between two nations, there has to be certain rules and regulations in terms of movement of goods or in terms of movements of any funds. So its main purpose is to facilitate the transactions between the different countries. So the main purpose of having a proper international monetary system is that it will facilitate a proper trade or proper business between the two nations. So International Monetary Fund. So one of the important or the main international monetary institutions that we have, so that we have, it is the IMF. So that is International Monetary Fund. So we'll discuss about the origin, how this IMF is formed, what are its objects and functions are. So the origin of the IMF goes back to the days of international chaos of 1930s. So this origin of International Monetary Fund, so its need arose when there is a huge international chaos that is happening, maybe the First World War and also after the, when the Second World War happened. At that time, there was a emergent need for having a proper international monetary system. So at that time, this IMF or having an IMF idea came. So during the Second World War, plans for the constructions of an international institution for the establishment of monetary order were taken up, especially during the Second World War. So this idea to have a proper international monetary system that has taken up. So at the Bretton Woods Conference held in 1944, it delegates from 44 non-communist countries negotiated an agreement on the structure and operations of the international monetary system. So it is during this Bretton Woods Conference where the 44 non-communist countries, so they negotiated an agreement to have one proper institution, that is the International Monetary Fund. So what are its objectives? To promote the international monetary cooperations through the permanent institutions which provides the machinery for consolidations and collaborations on international monetary problems. So one of the main objectives of IMF it is to have a proper collaborations and the cooperations among nations, especially in matters related to the monetary problems or monetary aspect. To facilitate the expansion and the balanced growth of international trade and to contribute thereby to the promotion and maintenance of the high level of employment and real income to the development of the productive resources of all the members as a primary objectives of economic policy. So the main objectives of these having an IMF it is that there has to be a balanced and the expansion of growth of international trade and the business among the member countries, so that they can promote and maintain the high level of employment opportunities. At the same time, it will increase the income level of the people, so that the productive resources of all the member countries that is properly utilized, so that they can achieve a balanced growth at the economy level. So that is the main objectives. So then to promote the exchange stability, to maintain orderly exchange agreement among the members and to avoid competitive exchange depreciation. So that means when a currency is exchanged to another country's currency, at that time how to maintain how to have a balanced exchange stability rate. So that is also their main objectives. So that is to promote the exchange rate stability among the nation's currencies. Then to assist in the establishment of multilateral system of payment in respect of current transactions between members and elimination of foreign exchange restrictions which hamper the growth of world trade. To reduce any foreign exchange restrictions which will decrease the volume of global trade. So that is their another objectives, so that it is assist in establishment of multilateral systems of payment in respect of current transactions. So that means in respect of any transactions, they will be having the different or multilateral level of transactions, so that it will increase the volume of global trade. So overall it will facilitate the sustainable growth of the countries. Next, to give the confidence to the members by making the general resources of fund temporarily available to them under adequate safeguard, thus providing them with the opportunity to correct adjustments in their balance of payment without restoring the measures destructive national or international prosperities. So that means it will give a confidence to the members countries in maintaining the general resources. That means these IMF, they will have these general resources of fund, so that can be used as temporarily by the member countries whenever there is an emergency need of these fund. So in accordance with the above, the shorten durations and lessen the degree of disequilibrium in the international balance of payment of members. So that means any members countries, if they have any deficit foreign exchange or disequilibrium in the balance of payment, so these IMF will provide us facility to equate or to come out of the deficit problem of the foreign exchange or the foreign reserves. So what are the functions of these International Monetary Fund? So the functions of International Monetary Fund, one, it is the stability in foreign exchange rate. So the main functions of IMF, it is to have a stability in the foreign exchange rate. So IMF helps to achieve the stability in the foreign exchange rate. So the exchange rate under the IMF had not fluctuated as much as they used to before the establishment of IMF. So one of the main functions of the IMF is to have a stable exchange rate among the currencies of different countries, so that all the countries, they'll get to benefit from the international trade. So the second function of IMF, it is the currency reserves. So the IMF, they'll have the reserves or the foreign reserves. So at that time, whenever a member country need for any reserves, so IMF will give you credit facilities to those nations. So IMF serves as a repository for all the member countries' currencies, from which borrowing nations may borrow funds from other countries. So that means the IMF, they'll have the reserves of all other member countries' currencies or the foreign exchange. So any member country, if they need that currency, they can approach the IMF and they can get those required reserves. So all the member countries can park their surplus fund with IMF. That means overall countries who becomes the part of IMF, they can deposit or they can keep their surplus reserves at the IMF, and these funds or these parked fund then utilized to extend the credit to the members which needs funds to the most at a given point of time. So that means the IMF, they'll have these surplus reserves. So any member country, if they need that, they can utilize these reserves to serve their international business or any their national purpose. So then advisory and technical assistance. So the IMF helps its member countries through its policy advice and technical assistance in formulating the sound policies and building strong institutions. So that means IMF will advise and also will facilitate its member countries if they need any technical assistance and also they need any assistance in policy making. The IMF will give all that advisory services. Then its support for the low-income countries. So the IMF provides help to its low-income member countries with any policy advice. If any member countries, if they need any advice regarding policy making, and also if they need any technical assistance, and also the IMF will provide the loan for those low-income countries. So loans for poverty reductions and also reducing the debt burden. So that means if the member countries, especially the low-income member countries, if they are facing any problems regarding the debt or regarding any poverty, so the IMF will give them the advice. At the same time, the IMF will give the funds as on the credit basis. So then we have establishment of monetary reserve fund. So that means IMF creates a monetary reserve funds where these member countries, they will have the surplus depositing in the IMF. So these funds or these surplus funds that can be used by other less developed countries or other member countries. So IMF helps to establish monetary reserves by accumulating the seizable stock of the nation currencies of different countries. So this IMF helps to establish a monetary balance or the reserves by accumulating or by collecting the different funds in the different currencies from its member countries. So it is out of this stock that the fund meets the foreign exchange requirement of the member countries. So any member countries, if they need these reserves, they can approach the IMF for those reserves. Next function, it is setting up of a multilateral trade and payment system. So another function of IMF, it is that it will help in setting up of multilateral trade agreement between the nations and also any multilateral payment system. So the IMF helps to set up a multilateral trade and payment system. So the member countries were allowed to impose the exchange control on commercial transactions, but it was hoped that these restrictions on foreign trade would be eliminated. So that means if any countries are imposing too much of restrictions on other nations, these IMF will give advice how to restrict or how to remove those restrictions and to facilitate the international payment and also to facilitate the international business. So then it has a check on the competitive currency devaluation. So here the IMF will keep its eyes on how these exchange rates or how these currencies rates are exchanging or fluctuating, so that it will have a complete check on those exchange stabilities. So for boosting the export, and different countries of the whole world would often resort to the competitive currency devaluation before the establishment of IMF. So the IMF helps to keep a check on the competitive currency devaluations. So the IMF will help the member countries how to achieve this balanced the stability of exchange rates. If there is any continuous devaluation of the currencies, how to overcome that, how to achieve the stability. So the IMF will help its member countries to have a stable exchange rates. So then what are the schemes and lending facilities of IMF? That means how this IMF has their lending facilities of funds to its member countries. So one, it is by standby arrangement, that is SBA. Through the SBA, it will help the countries in economic crisis to overcome the balance of payment problems. So through the standby arrangement, that is SBA, this IMF will help its member countries if they have any balance of payment problem, if they have a huge deficit in the foreign reserves. So IMF will help them. So under that one, it will provide the first facility, so that is the flexible credit line. So one of the lending scheme of IMF, it is the flexible credit line system. So for countries with a very strong track record of policy implementations, so these FCL, that is the flexible credit line, this facility will given to a country which has a strong history of policy implementation. So no ongoing conditions and no caps on the size of the credit line. So there is no specified conditions and also the capital base for these credit line. Then we have the precautionary and liquid line. It provides the financings to meet actual or the potential balance of payment needs to countries with the sound policies. So these will help the countries by providing the finance to meet their actual or the potential balance of payment needs of those countries. It serves as an insurance and helps to resolve the crisis. If any countries have a BOP's problem, these facilities that will help them to resolve those crises. So then we have the extended fund facilities, that is EFF. So it is a service provided by the IMF to its member countries, which authorizes them to raise any amount of foreign exchange from it to fulfill their BOP crisis. These exchange fund facilities, the services is provided to its member countries, which authorizes them to raise any amount of foreign exchanges or the foreign reserves if that country is facing a problem of BOP, but on the conditions on the structural reforms of the economies. If any member countries, if they want to achieve or if they want to do a structural reforms in the economy, if for that reasons, if they need any foreign reserves, these exchange fund facilities through IMF will give the funding facilities to those nations. So then trade integration mechanism, it allows the International Monetary Fund to provide loans under one of its facilities to developing country whose balance of payment is suffering because of multilateral trade liberalization. So that means if any member countries are suffering because of multilateral trade restrictions, so these IMF through these trade integration mechanism, it will help those countries by providing the sufficient fund to achieve the balance of payment, so that they can have the proper balance of payment if they are going through those problems. So then rapid financing instrument, that is RFI, it provides the rapid financial assistance. So through that scheme, IMF will provide the rapid financial assistance which is available to all the member countries facing an urgent balance of payment needs. Suppose if any member country is facing an emergency need of balance of payment, these credit facilities will be given by the IMF. Then rapid credit facility, that is RCF, it provides the rapid concessional financial assistance to the low income countries facing an urgent balance of payment need with no exposed conditionality where a full-fledged economic program is neither necessary nor feasible. So here these rapid credit facilities, if any less developed countries or the low income countries, if they need or if they are facing any balance of payment problem, these services or these financial assistance will be given to them. RCF was created under the Poverty Reductions and the Growth Trust. Especially it is given for those low-income countries in order to come out of these poverty, in order to reduce the poverty level and also to have the growth of those nations. So next that we have, what are the ethical dimensions that we have in the international business? So that means when a trade takes place between the two nations, what are the ethical aspect that has to be taken care of? So that is the ethical dimensions in international business. So the ethical dimensions in international business encompasses the cultural sensitivity, then the legal compliances and the responsible corporate behavior across the borders. So that means when a trade takes place across the border, at that time how to maintain the cultural, how to have the cultural sensitivity and also how to have the legal boundaries of that countries and also to have a responsible corporate behavior when the trade takes place in that nations. So all that will shows the ethical dimensions of that business. So these principles guide companies in making morally sound decisions while navigating the diverse global market. So that means any business when they are entering into the global market, how will they take the decisions on the moral sound basis? So that is also shows the ethical dimensions of the business. So here what are the factors or the ethical factors that comes in the international business? The first one, it is the cultural sensitivity and the respect. So that means the business must understand and respect the cultural norms and values and traditions in the different countries. So obviously when the trade takes place in any other nations, how these companies, they are going to respect the cultural of that nation and also the value system and what are the traditions that is practiced in that nations. So that also shows the ethical dimensions of that business. So the practices considered ethical in one of the regions may be offensive or unacceptable in elsewhere. So that means what are the practices that is acceptable in one nation, the same practice cannot be done or cannot be taken in other nations. So that means all the international business, they have to respect the local cultural value system and also the traditional practices. So then we have the labor standards and the human rights. So the ethical firms ensures the fair wages and the safe working conditions and prohibit the child labor or the forced labor. So that means ethical firms, they have to ensure the fair wage payment to the workers and also the proper and the safe working environment to its employees and also prohibiting any child labor and also the forced labor. So the global supply chain often faces scrutiny of labor exploitations, especially in the developing countries. So the global supply chain, especially they will have these complete scrutinizations of the labor exploitations and especially in the developing economies. So then we have environmental responsibilities. So that means when a company enters into the other nations, what is the environmental responsibility that they have? So here international business are expected to minimize the environmental harm and adapt to the sustainable practices. So that means all international business, when they are doing the business, means they have to do in a sustainable way which causes the less harmful to the environment. Then ethical concerns include pollutions, resources depletions and the climatic impact from the operations. So here ethical concerns includes how the resources, the depletion is happening and how their operations are affecting to the climatic. All these factors has to be taken into consideration. So then we have the corruptions and the bribery. So the companies must avoid any kind of unethical practices like bribery or the kickbacks or any political manipulations. So that means an ethical firm, they have to conduct their operations on an ethical basis, avoiding any cases of bribery or any political manipulations or any kind of kickbacks that has to be avoided. So the compliance with the anti-corruption laws such as US Foreign Corrupt Practices Act or UK Bribery Act is essential. That means there are certain other international anti-corruption laws that has to be followed while doing the international business. So then we have a corporate governance and transparency. So the ethical business maintains the transparency in the financial reporting and decision making and stakeholder communication. So that means the ethical business, they'll maintain the international standards while reporting their business information or the financial statement, and also while doing any stakeholders related communication, that has to be done in an ethical way. So the governance structures should promote the accountability and prevent the fraud and insider trading. So that means their corporate governance structure, that has to promote the accountability, and also they have to prevent any fraud or any insider trading practices. So next ethical aspect that we have, it is related to the consumer protection. So the international firms must ensure the product safety, then truthful marketing and respect for consumer rights. So that means the international firms, when they are doing the international business, that have to ensure how the product safety is there, and also how the truthful marketing practices they are practicing, and also how the consumer rights that are protected. So the misleading claims or the unsafe product can damage the reputations, and that will lead to any kind of legal consequences. So that means any kind of unsafe product, if that is sold, so that also obviously it will cause the image of that business, and also it will have to face certain legal consequences. So then the ethical aspect that we have, it is about the legal and regulatory compliances. So here, navigating the different legal system requires adherence to the local laws while upholding the universal ethical standards. So that means while doing a business in the different nations, so they will be the different kind of legal and regulatory framework. How to follow those local regulatory framework, that also comes in the factor of ethical dimension. The ethical dilemma may arise when a local law conflict with the global norms or companies' values. So here ethical conflict that happens when the local laws that have a local laws, how difficult it with to have a compliance with the global laws. So this is all about your fifth unit, that is International Monetary Fund, where we have seen the IMF, its funding facility and its objectives and functions, and also what are the ethical factors that we have in the international business. So this is all about your fifth unit. So I hope you all understood what is international business and what are the various factors that we have studied in the globalization and also the international business environment. And then we have the foreign exchange market, and also what are the the international monetary system. So I hope you all understood this one. Thank you.